Hello everyone, good evening. I am Carla Sanders, the Cosmic Crone, and tonight is the Divine Feminine Astrology reading for the Aquarius full moon. I'm a couple of minutes early, so I will give people some time to find me. And I'm coming to you from my studio. I am not yet making art in it. I just finished the floor, and I think it's a rather lovely floor. It's all sparkly with gold glitter sealed in with some sort of acrylic. It's actually surprisingly nice for a barn. This is an attachment, a wing off of the barn that used to be a 7-horse barn with the previous owners. So we are here. Let's see. Let's look at, well, let's cover the bases. This is 8 p.m. Eastern Time, August 14th. The full moon is in about 12 hours. So it's tomorrow morning at 8:29 a.m. And tonight it's going to look full as it rises. It's probably rising about now. I have this urge suddenly to go run down to the pond and watch it rise over the pond, but I committed to being here, so we're going to look at the chart of the moon, not the moon itself. And this chart is full of divine feminine energy. The first thing, well, I'll talk about the obvious first off. A full moon is an opposition between the sun and the moon. The sun is in Leo at 22:24, and the moon is in Aquarius at 22:24. Something else is at 22 degrees Leo, and that is Venus. Venus is in the midst of her, what is called the superior conjunction. She is going around the other side of the sun from the earth. And so at this point, you've got Venus lined up on the other side of the sun in her orbital pattern, the sun, the earth, and the moon on the other side of the earth, all lined up at 20, well, the earth is in the center of it all, but those three planets are at 22 degrees of their respective signs. And that kind of gives me chills to feel that energy. When Venus is taking her superior conjunction, her conjunction on the far side of the sun, it is the descent of Inanna. It represents Inanna, the goddess Inanna, as the ancient Sumerians told the story. They observed Venus, and she is changing from being a morning star to the evening star. It takes a long time. It's about 3 months that she's too close to the sun, on the other side of the sun, for us to see her. So Inanna, Venus, is gone for a long time. And when she comes back, she will be in the evening sky. Now, I'm going to do a teaching about this in a couple of weeks. Actually, I'm talking about it tomorrow. My teaching is about something else, which is also triggered in this reading. Tomorrow in Wise Women Lead, my group for Divine Feminine Leaders, we're going to talk about what that means, what the ancients said that it meant to them, and what that means for us, because we're just like them, actually. We are human beings, and we have the same stories and avatars and needs and processes for growth and development. And what this refers to is initiation, the descent into the darkness, and ultimately return. Descent and return is the rhythm of initiation. So that conversation is happening in Wise Women Lead tomorrow at 2 p.m. So please, if you have not joined Wise Women Lead yet, just if you go to the Visit Group button, which is somewhere on this page, you can just click there and it'll take you to the group and you can ask for joining. I don't add people who have not asked to be added. So the most you'll ever get from me would be an invitation to the link, and I'm inviting you to the link right now. So as you come on, we're just getting started. Feel free to say hello, post any questions or observations or feelings you may be having about this full moon. We are in the thick of it because it is 12 hours away, and this is often the time when we feel the effects of these portals most strongly. So what is going on? Besides, the sun and Venus are together on one side of the earth and the moon is on the other side, opposite. Well, the first thing that I saw is there is a T-square. There's a T-square. I'll show it to you. It's right here. And it is, let's see, where are we? We've got Venus and the sun here. And opposite that, we've got the moon. And at 22 degrees Taurus is Vesta. So Vesta is square Venus and the sun and square the full moon in Aquarius. And she is, in some ways, she is holding both, all of that energy in her womb. On her altar, she is holding the divine feminine merging with the sun in the underworld phase, and the full moon, which is opposite them, shining the light of the great-grandmother upon us. And she is holding that energy for the collective. Leo, where the sun and Venus are, is the sign of the child. Youth, strength. It's the sign of the child and the sign of the king. It is the sign of the individual. Actually, the sun rules Leo. The sun is the planetary ruler of Leo. So what we're having is a big I am moment here in what is the height of summer in the Northern Hemisphere. And we have this I am moment with Venus making her descent. She is shedding her identity as the Queen of Heaven and going to meet the dark goddess in the underworld. And so a different side of Venus becomes awakened. And I'm going to talk more about that at 2 p.m. tomorrow in Wise Women Lead. Right now, let's go back to Vesta. I've been watching this Vesta Algol conjunction that is forming. I've been watching it for this entire moon cycle since the last full moon. I saw it coming. And at the next new moon on August 30th, Vesta and Algol will be, I think Vesta will be at 25, but they'll be less than a degree apart. And that's what I'm going to do the initiation teaching about. It is picking up the initiation energy of Venus, which will still be on the other side of the sun at the next new moon when we have that Vesta Algol conjunction. And wow. So what we have is Vesta heading to a meeting with the demonized goddess. So this is another expression of the dark goddess. Algol is one of the 3 Liliths that I read in a chart. And she stands for, she is the Lilith star. She is a star in Perseus, known to the ancients as the Eye of Medusa. Medusa was a demon, the feminine demonized. It started happening with the ancient Greeks and even before that. But it is the way that patriarchy took power was to turn the goddess into the devil and to make her the expression and the representative of evil on earth. So Algol stands for that. And that aspect of Lilith, Lilith who knew who she was, Lilith who knew she was goddess, knew she was equal to God. She had the divine in her, and she was the creatrix. She was the one who could take dirt and make it fertile. She could make the seeds grow. She essentially, Eden was not Eden without her. She was also known as Adam's first wife. She has had many roles. Her oldest expression is as an ancient agricultural goddess. She made the crops grow, and in that she has a resonance with Demeter and Ceres and Persephone and Kore. But when we meet her, as we are about to meet her at the next moon cycle with Vesta conjunct, Vesta bringing the sacred flame of erotic energy, bringing that deep knowing of the womb as altar, the womb as where we stoke our fires and we get in touch with the divine that is embodied in us, and where we express that and share that energy. And Vesta is very much about being, having that energy be inside. I am. It is an I amness. It is the erotic energy that lets us know who we are, who lets me know who I am, lets you know who you are. It is not typically the erotic energy that we share with another person. We can share Vesta energy with another person, and it needs to be done very intentionally, because it is sacred sex when that happens. It is the erotic as a form of prayer, a form of trance, a form of communicating with divine. That can happen with Vesta energy. Sexual healing can happen with Vesta energy. At this point, Vesta is meeting up. Well, today, she is gathering the energy of the full moon and the energy of Venus conjunct the sun. And then she is taking that energy and going and getting the demon goddess. Because the demon goddess is a construct. It's a story made up by patriarchy, and it is a story, kind of an archetype that we carry in us, that the feminine is ultimately evil, and the feminine must be shunned and avoided. You turn your, this is how I learned it growing up in church, in my childhood. You turn your back on the feminine, you turn your back on the devil, and you put your eyes on God, which is the male creative principle, who couldn't do a thing without the goddess, and is not particularly interested in anything but the goddess. I have, the way that I say it is, if you ask God to show you his face, he will show you the goddess, because he loves her so. She is the one who is embodied. She is the one with form. So Vesta, what does it mean when Vesta meets the demonized goddess? Well, she's got to channel all of that energy, because the demonized goddess is associated with strong feeling, strong emotions, strong energy. She is often known as the wrathful goddess, the wrathful Dakini, the Kali, or the Sekhmet avatars of the feminine. And that's because she was sent away. When you created the world, and I'm really personalizing something that is not personal, but we have all of this inside of us. we as women, we as human beings have this wrathful goddess inside of us, male or female. And we disown that. We say, this is not good, this is evil, this is wrong. We must not let that feeling, that side of us be seen. We are dangerous. We are evil when we show that part of ourselves. So Vesta, with all of the power invested in her, is taking all of that energy. Vesta is the goddess of the hearth, the goddess of the sacred lamp. She, in her very oldest form, Vesta was the goddess of the hearth, the sacred fire, the fire that kept the people warm, that cooked the food. People would go to the central fire in the town or at the temple to renew their fire, and they did not let it go out. It was considered incompetence or perhaps even evil to let your hearth fire go out. The hearth of the home was the altar of the home, and the hearth and the altar would be lit from the same flame, the same coals. And so this is the essence of who we are. This is the essence of our sense of belonging. And it makes the everyday sacred because it is. And then there is the priestess aspect of Vesta. The Vestal virgins of Rome kept the flame, the eternal flame of Rome going. And there's a whole story and a whole ethos of what it meant to be a Vestal virgin. They were given power by the empire and by the society, more power than women typically had, the right to own property. But they had a great sacrifice of service. They were sacred beings, and they had rules to follow. They could not marry. They had to remain virgin. And they had to devote themselves to the service of the empire. The Vestal virgins historically represented patriarchy co-opting this divine energy of the feminine. And so in the way we read, the way I read, Vesta as an archetype in the astrology is we reclaim that. Vesta is your womb, your erotic energy that fires off in your ovaries, and it can make babies and bring babies into the world, but it also brings creative ideas, art, music, writing, healing, and it connects to divine. It's a through line. And so she is going to be channeling that demonized energy of the goddess through her. I'm seeing this idea of a rheostat, like a dimmer switch. And I don't know that she's going to dim it, but she's got to kind of change the frequency so that we can tolerate it, so that we can hold it inside of ourselves and work with it and express it. Express our collective and individual rage and feel okay doing it, feel safe doing it. And I use the word safe advisedly because so much of what is required of us right now does not feel safe. We probably are not safe. And yet, this energy, the goddess will protect us. And Vesta will show us how to be with this energy. And she's picking up the bright and shining one, Venus, and the sun, and the moon. And what else? What else is going on in this chart? Well, it's not in aspect to anything, but at this moment, last Sunday, Jupiter, bounced off of the great attractor and is still in conjunction with the great attractor and is in direct motion. So Jupiter is contributing a ton of energy, expansive and good luck and abundant. Like, you have the resources you need to do this. And Jupiter at this moment is at its most spiritual expression, because he has done, this is his third conjunction with the great attractor. Well, maybe, I guess you could call it two, except that stationing direct means he's hanging out there. He's slowed as at 14 Sagittarius with the great attractor, the great goddess. And now he's slowly picking up energy and speed, and he's going to be, I don't know, at 15 or 16 at the next moon cycle. So this is going to begin to separate. But Jupiter is all about abundant spiritual energy and abundant creative and financial energy. And it's interesting that it's happening right now. My zucchini finally started doing that thing it does. I haven't had baseball bats yet because I haven't lost one that got huge. But I picked like 24 zucchini today. After picking 2 or 3 at a time, it's like, oh my God. So, and I also have a lot of yellow squash. So our gardens here in the Northern Hemisphere are producing. And we are having this incredible experience of abundance. Ceres happens to be at 3 Sagittarius. So she's picking up the spiritual energy of Sagittarius right now as coincidental with harvest time. So that's happening right now at the full moon. That energy is available to you. And I want you to remember that. You can see Jupiter in the sky when you look up. It's right now the moon is rising, and Jupiter, if I were, they're in the southern sky for Northern Hemisphere people. So the moon would be over here, and Jupiter, it's almost square. Let's see. No, it's not. It's more like a sextile. Okay. It's close. It's not quite a sextile. It's off of a sextile, but they're only 2 signs apart. So if you go out and look at the moon rising in a few minutes when we're finished here, and look to the right, you will see a very bright planet hanging in the low in the southern sky, and that's Jupiter. And right there with Jupiter is the great attractor. Tune into that energy and let it wash over you. You can tap into that. You are powerful enough to tap into that energy, especially with the planets physically reminding you. So what else have we got? Well, we have, Lilith, Black Moon Lilith. She is the creatrix. She is I consider her the goddess before patriarchy. Right now, she is still in a conjunction with Nessus. So she is saying, heal your lineage of abuse, whatever it takes. It's going on right now. And the work that I'm going to be talking about tomorrow and again in 2 weeks about initiation, about the deep healing of the feminine, the tapping into the energy of your sexuality and your feminine essence, which I believe is basically an erotic essence. This is how you heal the lineage of abuse and trauma that we all have behind us. You might have seen a meme in words or pictures of what is standing behind you are hundreds of generations of ancestors who loved you. And that is quite true. You are born of love, and you are also born of trauma, because those people endured trauma. They were traumatized, they inflicted trauma, And it got carried forward, especially the more recent times, like maybe 3, ultimately 4 generations back. So that you're carrying that now. And you have probably been doing most of what you do in your life to heal that and to change it. And now you have so much energy available to you. Seek help. Seek a healer, a therapist. Seek someone who can walk you through healing this trauma and changing your history, and definitely changing your future and the future of your descendants, if you have physical descendants and spiritual descendants as well. So this is what's in the chart over and over again. Pluto and Chariklo, the great transformer and the great feminine healer, Chiron's wife. And the moon, here is another, something else at 22. The third Lilith is at 22 Libra. And she is in a trine to the full moon and in a sextile to Venus and the Sun. And the asteroid Lilith is the disowned feminine that we all carry inside of us, the feminine wound. The one that says, this is the one who says, in a way, she's kind of like Eve, because Eve was made from Adam's rib, according to the story in the Christian and Judeo-Christian Bible. And she was made to be subservient and subjected to him. The rules about Lilith were, you don't speak up and you stay away from that snake, and you don't remember that you are goddess, that you are Lilith. Your Lilith stand-in. And that is incredibly painful, to be put in the subjugated place when you are the powerful life giver. And so we have been carrying that. Our sexuality is demonized, our fertility is demonized, our intellect is demonized, and we have been told to disown and to stand behind, underneath the male. And we are angry about that. Every client I have is angry about that, and I have been angry. And we need to work with the demonized goddess, Algol, to know how to be with our anger. Because when we don't know how, it comes out sideways, or more than anything else, we turn it on ourselves. And that is the big healing journey that I've been on throughout my life. So, I see that a few of you are here. Okay, we got Heather. Heather came in to say thank you. Thank you. I'll be here. Come and listen and comment. And yes, I know it's an odd time, bedtime for people with families, dinner time. But my schedule required that I do this late today. So I'm glad to be here with you. And you know what? I am glad to be here with the moon rising. And on my way back to the house from my studio, I'm going to be looking at the moon. And I'm going to feel at my back the sun setting and Venus with him. And I'm going to look up in the south and see Jupiter and know that I'm also looking in the direction of the great attractor. And I'm going to let all that energy wash in. And I'm going to set up my altar for Vesta. Because Vesta is going to show me how to bring the demonized goddess back to the planet. And I need you to do that work too. Let's do it together. Blessed full moon, and I will see you tomorrow in Wise Women Lead at 2 p.m. Bye-bye.